Hello, this is question 2 on November 2021 paper. It's a statistics question and it has a histogram. So I'm going to show you how you can get full marks on this question, which are 9 marks. So you have a histogram that is only partially completed, and that's not unusual. So sometimes you have to draw the histogram, sometimes it's given, but many times you will find that it's just partially completed. Is about the ages of passengers on an airline. There are no passengers aged 90 or over. So you have this information here. You see two gaps. At one point we will need to fill them out, and I would recommend you, if you see an empty table and you finish the question and you had a need to complete these two things or these gaps, keep an eye just in case, because it's very likely that you have to complete that. So you may be missing something. Not always, but I would check just in case. So the first thing they say is complete the histogram. So I'm missing maybe something here and maybe something here. So let's see. I have 5 people between 0 and 5. So I'm missing one bar here that represents 5 people. To know how to represent 5 people, I will need to use any of the bars that are already drawn and see how many squares per people or something that tells me the density. So I would use this one because it has one person. So it would be the easier. So you can say that 10 little squares is one person. So we are going to write that so we don't forget. So 10 squares, the little ones, 10 squares is one person. So that means I have to represent 5 people. So that means I will need to do 50 little squares, 50. So these are 25 and these are 50. So my first bar will finish here, something like here. So I would do, you can shade it or you can just make some lines, but leave clear where your line is. And then the next that is missing is this one, is 90 people. So I need to do 900 tiny squares. I have 5, 10, 20, so 20 in this direction. So I will need 45 in this direction to have 45 times 20. So 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 45 here. So let's do the line. Is this line here and here. So this is our big bar. I have 900 little squares, which means 90 people, right? So we have completed. There are 3 marks for this. The first one is to realize some connection or really a method. So the first one is for method, but it's for finding out how many squares are per person or maybe per group of persons. So it's not necessarily one person is 10 squares. You can say 25 squares is 2.5 people, wherever the connection that you find between the squares and the people. And then one mark is for this bar, for the correct height, and this one is another mark. Yeah, so these are 3 marks. Then the part B says use linear interpolation to estimate the median. To find the median, we need to know the number of passengers. And that's where we are going to complete this table, because they don't tell us in the question how many passengers we have. So we will have to work out these numbers to add them all together and to have the total number of passengers. So if you count the squares here, you have 1,300 squares. Tiny squares, 1,300, right? That means if 10 squares is one passenger, I have 130 people here. And if you count these ones, so this bar, you have 600 little squares. So that means we have 60 passengers here. So in total, when I add all the passengers, I have 331. So I have, I'm going to do in the next page. So for B, I have total passengers is 331. You have 1 mark already for completing the histogram because you need the total number, right? So for completing the, and the other mark already for finding the total. We need to find the median. The median is the middle value out of our 331. So 331 divided by 2 is 165.5. This is our Q2. Q2 will be the 165.5 value. That value we have to decide in which interval is. So we have like 5 values up to here. So up to here I have 5 values. Up to here I have 45 more. So I have 50 values. Up to here I have 90 more, so 140. And up to here I have 130 more, which is 270. So my 165.5 value is going to be in this interval. This is the interval of my median. So I'm going to do the interpolation in that interval. That means that if I write the sides of the interval, so I have my values. This one was 40 and 65. So my values are between 40 and 65. Somewhere I will have my Q2. I don't know where. And then I have up to the 140th value at the beginning and up to the 270th value. So my limits for the order of numbers is 100, what did I say? 40, 140th value and 270th value. And I'm looking for the 165.5 value. This is my Q2. So in one side, remember, I have the order, and in one side I have the values. And now I apply interpolation. So that means that the proportion between this distance or this difference divided by this is going to be the same as this one divided by this. That's what I'm doing. So on the top I have Q3 minus 40, the distance between Q3 and 40, divided by 765 minus 40, so the big distance is the same that the difference between these two and these two. So I have 165.5 minus 140, you're doing a proportion just, 270 minus 140. Yeah. You find this with the calculator, you multiply by 25 and add the 40, and then you get Q2, which is 44.903 something. Yeah. And check when you get your answer for a median that is in the correct interval. So we should get a value between 40 and 65. If you suddenly get 70 something or 20, it's wrong. Yeah. So check your answer is in the interval. This question is, how many marks? There were 4 marks. 1 mark, we say it was for finding the total, 1 for completed the histogram, and then you have 1 method, 1 for the method, so 1 for using the interpolation correctly, and 1 for the answer. Those are your 4 marks, right? And the last part of the question, question C, it says, an outlier is defined as a value greater than Q3, so the upper quartile, plus 1.5, the interquartile range. Given that this is Q1 and this is Q3, we need to know if the oldest passenger, which is between 80 and 90, is an outlier, right? To find outliers, we need to find the limits for the outliers. We are talking about the upper side, so the limit for the outliers that are too large. So we are going to find that limit. That limit, with the definition that we have there, is going to be Q3 plus 1.5 interquartile range. Interquartile range is the maximum value minus the minimum of the quartile. So 58.9, so this one, minus 27.3. 58.9 minus 27.3. I don't have this value here, but we are going to do Q3, which is 58.9 plus 1.5, this value here, this is 106.3. I can do with the calculator and I'll tell you. So it's 58.9 minus 27.3. So the interquartile range is 31.6. Yeah, and this is the limit for the upper outliers. So the upper limit for the outliers. Anything bigger than that will be an outlier. But our passenger is between 80 and 90. So it's not an outlier. it should be older to be an outlier. So oldest passenger is not an outlier. Not an outlier. And the marks here are 2 marks, one for the limit of the layers and one for the conclusion, yeah, to decide that it's not an outlier. And that's all for this question. It's not too large and it's 9 marks, yeah.